One. Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're transforming entrepreneurs into online superstars with our guest Masterclass on virtual summits and podcast stages. Can't wait to talk about that stuff. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Buzz. All right, entrepreneurs, are you ready to dive into the digital world and transform your passion into profit? Want to know how heart-centered entrepreneurs are making a massive impact online? Well, get ready because we're going to ignite your business strategy with the secrets of immersive marketing. Today, we have the queen of virtual events, the pioneer of soul-aligned empires, here to guide you through the labyrinth of online success. So brace yourselves for an electrifying session with none other than Nicole Borghi. All right, Nicole, party on. Welcome to the program.
Hey, great to be here, man. It's awesome. You guys have such a great vibe on the show.
I love it. That's exactly what we want. We want to have fun every single day. I mean, that's what life is for, living it in a fun way as best we possibly can. So that's what we set the stage for. So let's do this. Nicole, first question I always ask is, you are here to promote something. There's something you do for a living. There's some way that you get paid. What is that?
Well, hey, thanks. Let's get right to it. It's immersive marketing on the virtual space, virtual reality summits, next level without the old school hassle, virtual events in virtual reality. So it's really amazing to bring this forward and say, hey, what's the next generation of virtual summits? It's virtual reality.
All right, we're going to have to dive into that a little bit because I heard you say virtual reality a couple times, and although Apple Vision Pro just launched, Oculus has been out for a while. What do you mean by virtual reality? So if I'm wanting to learn about podcasting, I want to go to one of your events, do I need hardware? Like, how does that even work?
You don't need any of that. It's a one-click link. And this is why I love sharing this with people, the ease of how to get on the site. So I work with a company called Linksys, and we are putting events together. We launched in October. I did with my business and my business partners, coming into the stage with a summit called Confronting Domestic Violence, to support domestic violence awareness. And it's a great way to be safe, to be secure, and either show your face in a circle, maybe not a square, or just to come in as an avatar. But it's a one-click link. No heavy eyeglasses, headset. You don't need any of that. And we've got an app on a phone. So it's pretty simple. I love my motto is really keep it simple, stupid. Because if it's not simple, nobody's going to do it. If you don't understand it, nobody's going to do it. So, hey, I got to come in. I can come in any way I want. And anywhere I want. I'm coming at you in the middle of nowhere in a cabin on my writer's sabbatical here. And it's like, hey, I could do this anywhere and everywhere.
That's the power of this new world that we live in a post-COVID world. All of a sudden, having a virtual space is normal. We've accepted it as part of what we're doing, and we're using it to learn all kinds of stuff. So let's dive into what you can learn, what you're teaching here. Can you explain the concept of like soul-aligned marketing? How does that benefit entrepreneurs?
Well, it's really about heart. It's about emotions. And I teach in October, I taught the speakers really the course before an onboarding. What that is really being so aligned, being on your vibe. I mean, obviously, business bros, you're on your vibe. You guys are exciting. You bring it. There's no, there's no drama here. There's no reality TV. You are truly marketing yourself and being your unique self and bringing that into for a cause marketing. And what's your cause? We did confronting domestic violence. That's a nonprofit. And so to share that with the space to say, hey, you can take your business online, you can have a safe space, you can market for a cause. That's your products, brand, or services totally immersed in one space, just like kind of where Zoom was a few years back. And we were last minute getting onto Zoom, teaching people how to do that. Someone that was 85, someone that was 23, how to mute, how to unmute, how to share your links into Zoom. And it was a little bit hard and daunting for some people because they didn't want to be online. You're not losing that connection. We want you to be able to network and have one-to-one, just like we are now, or even in person. And just coming from a summit in Florida, and that was a one-to-one. I don't want to take that away from anybody, but really why I want to share the ability for you to run a business, market for a cause, work for a cause, bring in some profit for your business instead of knocking on the doors trying to fundraise. Nobody wants that. And why not raise the money yourself? Even Tony Robbins talks about that. Hey, I'm tired of begging and borrowing from everybody. Why not just bring in my own money or share with my business and my clients how to make their own money and bring that to the table? And then you can do what you want. You're not kind of stuck in a little box if you bring a sponsor in. There's some things nowadays, how people want to be represented. You're representing your own company and you don't have to worry about signing on the dotted line and a huge disclosure of what you're going to say, what you're not going to say, who you're representing. You can bring that all from your soul. And coming from law enforcement and security and realizing, hey, we're missing connection. How do we find that? And that's all on an energetic level and really sharing also with people. And when we talk about nonprofits, a lot of my coaching and my background was sharing with people, hey, what Billy Carson says, woke doesn't mean broke. You want to be lifted. You want to be on a great frequency and you want to share that. And how do we do that? We share that by generating income so we can manifest and have abundance of our own. Live wonderfully, travel. Where do you want to go? And you could do that with an online business. And I got a laptop or I got a phone. So I can talk to you and I can still have my business and I can turn it off and have a break. And that's really the purpose of being soul aligned.
Now, passion goes a long way. There's some of the best salesmen are the ones that have passion behind the product or service that they're selling because they bought into it, and that passion transfers over, right? That energy transfers over to your prospects, to the people that you're talking to, whether you're on stage, and that's what really gets infectious. One of the reasons why I love podcasting so much is because of the reach it gets, but to me, it's been one of the best prospecting tools I have ever come across. But it's also becoming a very crowded market by the same token, right? Prior to COVID, I think it was like 500,000 podcasts, and then everybody had all kinds of time. They started a bunch of podcasts during the COVID time, and now there's a lot more that are out there because people are realizing the power that it has. How do you help your clients stand out and shine when they're in a crowded online space like that?
So, hey, great question. But you want the accessories, you want the lipstick and the belt, the shoes to match when you're going out and when you're representing yourself. Hey, you want those great hubcaps on your Lamborghini, what have you. You want to stand out and shine in your own way so people notice you. And so kind of, you don't want to really put lipstick on a pig. How do you dress your best? How do you come representing yourself very professionally? And coming from Silicon Valley, people are looking at you. They want to see who you are. And do you walk the walk? Are you faking it? Can you really wear those 3-inch heels? Or maybe you should just throw those out, put on a pair of sneakers. Really coming out, standing out and shining, sharing with the clients how to best represent them. So we all have lead gen, we all have funnels or marketing or sharing and representing. I want to represent the client the best way how. So I give them all the tools, but I don't want to overwhelm them. A virtual summit's a virtual summit wherever you go. It can be on Zoom and it can be on the virtual reality platform. It can be on a Linksys. You can have a virtual summit on YouTube, right? Or anywhere you want. Virtual is the metadata. It's the computer information that we're sharing here. And in light of a movement going forward, we want to share the best way to represent someone and say, hey, you're leaving a legacy, whether you like it or not. That image of you or that YouTube or any of that Facebook Live you did, that's printed into the metadata. And so it's there for ever and ever. And you want to represent yourself the best. We want to see you grow and shine and succeed. And so, how do you do that best? How do you come up and look? Sometimes it's lighting, sometimes it's accessories, and sometimes it's realizing a connection when you're looking into the camera. How do you do that? And so, the ease of bringing someone into the space of their aligned frequency to say, hey, that's just another way to be your best self. So show up as your best self, have your information together. And sometimes it's just guidance and coaching to say, hey, uh, maybe editing something out, being behind the scenes and saying, hey, you are going down a road that doesn't necessarily represent your product the best. Can we stop for a second, take a break, take a breath, and come back to this space here and be on camera? Let's represent your information the best way we can, whether that's interviewing a client on a podcast or showing, hey, how do we do that? But moving forward, when you're talking about everybody's got a podcast, just remember everybody's looking for your podcast. If you have a business, you should have a podcast. People want to know your business. They're nosy. Remember, we want to know about you. And I'm going to search you, I want to see Business Bros of the podcast. I want to see your clips that you guys throw out and process. I want to see how kind-hearted you highlight your people the best way that you can. And how do you represent not only your company, but your clientele? And is your website up to date? What's your social media marketing look like? Maybe it's not quite on the influencer path, but your clients are looking for that. They want to see, they want to hear you. We're always putting earbuds on. You've got a headset today. When I go running, I listen to podcasts. I just suck them down while I'm taking a trail run out in the middle of nowhere in the woods. And, I like to hear that, but you're part of me now. You're right here in my headspace, as clean as it can be, right? Listening to what you have to say. And I want to be able to do that without judgment and just listen. And if you're representing your business, I want to know the behind the scenes of your business. Maybe you had a bad day. That's okay. But how did you change and pivot and say, hey, I hired a new marketer, or we started onto a new platform. What would you like to see? You guys follow us all the time. Is there anything different you would like to see? Or how do we get you in to represent? So launch a beta program, maybe get some comments, get some connection in there, because your clients are looking for you. And if you're not out there, you're missing the boat, really. And you want to be truly memorable into your connections and just dive into the being of what's out there. So someone can find you and they go to Dr. Google and get on the Webernet and search you. They're going to start listening to your podcasts, looking at your videos, looking at all the digital space that you create. They don't necessarily want to know you on a personal space, but they want to feel like they know you and have that aligned connection. And in order to do that, you've got to represent and, hey, tell them about your business. Why not just do a few juicy, good tidbits on, hey, I learned this early in my 20s, or I didn't learn this till I was 40 in business. And I'm sorry I didn't do it before, but now I'm sharing this juicy tidbit with you. I'm sharing my 5 top tips. Go out there, represent yourself, because your clients want it.
And it's so funny how there's a lot of times when people get started, when they Google themselves. When you're first getting started, you Google your own name. Maybe you have a couple search results that show up. But as you start creating content, and this is value that you're providing for your customers anyways, as you start creating content, maybe you start interviewing some people, you start posting some things, Google finds all that stuff. And it's amazing. If I was to Google myself back in 2018 when we were getting ready to start the podcast, there was a couple things that showed up. You Google my name today, and it's just page after page after page. It adds to that credibility of who you are, what you do, and how you're helping people simply by making the content and answering the questions that you were already going to answer for your clients anyways. But instead of answering one-on-one, now you're answering one-to-many, and that opens up the doors for different opportunities that are possible. Now, I know when I talk to people, there's certain challenges that they bring up, obstacles that are, of course, self-put in place, but they're obstacles that come in when they're thinking about getting started in creating a brand or starting a podcast or hopping on a stage. What are some of the common challenges that you find your clients facing, and how do you help them overcome them?
Oh, wow, great. So, really, with clients, and sometimes it can be self sabotaging. So, it's like, hey, how do we move with this? And I'm here with you. Hey, here's a few lessons I've learned, but here's what is the end game. So,
Mm.
really, even like in a speech, when you have a great call to action, how do you start that? So, what's your end game? If you know what's happening at the end, what the goal is you want to get to, then we can drive slowly down the road and kind of take a few detours and stop at a really good restaurant and get to that end game, that end goal. And we can all be a little bit happy and make some profit. So, it's really about, in the end, it's about the profit. It's not always going to be huge, but it can be scalable. So what is your value ladder? Where's your product? What product do you have to start with? Is it a $5 product or a $6,000 product? And let's kind of get a little bit of a blueprint to say, hey, what's your strategy? Here's the simple stuff of marketing, your email, your social media. If we put that all together and say, how can we best represent you and consistently represent you in the same way? We don't want to represent you one way here and another way here. People get mixed messages, right? So we want to give that smooth transition and map that out for you. And really bring in the user friendly, make it aware. And I, listening to your podcast before, it's really getting out there and networking. There's so much, like you said, it sounds overwhelming. I was listening to a video, and the gentleman was talking about on real estate, he was talking about the networking. So important to have connections. So, however you do that, get out there and make those connections. People want to get to know you, they want to affiliate with you, and they want to joint venture with you. What a better way to represent your business by serving with others, being in servitude, and promoting someone on a networking event. So if we're having a virtual summit and I want to promote somebody with real estate, we connect those people together, and that's part of it. So we want to matchmake and make a great marriage in your business to say, let's not leave that out. Who are you connecting with? How are you getting out there? Are you getting on podcasts? Are you talking to people? And do you know a little bit about them so you can have some type of connection? And we don't want to miss that. That's huge. And in the age of social media and everything being a digital imprint, have connection. How do we move you? What's your strategy going to be? It's always easy you want a good foundation, right? So we want to start easy, have a good foundation, and then build up that skyscraper. And so really going out there to get the lead generation, whether it's in email marketing or getting lead generation with a one-to-one connection. And how do we do that? So we don't want to miss the mark. Some of the old school things work well, but how do we take the new school, the old school, and put them together and say, hey, let's get that out there?
I've had the privilege of interviewing over 1,000 entrepreneurs. Some of them at the very beginning of their careers, some of them with multi-million-dollar exits, and all in between. And when you talk about the networking and the relationships, that's one of the things that almost every successful entrepreneur comes back to. It's the relationships that help them get to where they are today. It's the relationships that brought them more sales. It's the relationships that opened up the door with vendors, mergers, acquisitions, all those different types of things. And the hardest thing I think that a lot of people struggle with is initiating that relationship. How do I get started? They go to a networking event, they look around at all these different people, and they're like, oh, everybody knows each other. I don't know anybody. And they don't realize that everybody standing in that event is feeling the same way. They're trying to make their way through this thing. And when you start a podcast, when you start these things, there's always different intentions. Yes, networking is powerful. Yes, building those relationships are powerful. But at the same time, there's also a way for you to make some money off this. And that's kind of my next question. How does one go about creating multiple revenue streams through virtual events, through podcasting? In your experience, how are you helping people make money as well as building these relationships?
Well, yes, everybody wants to know the profit. That's always part of that end game. And it's really monetizing your summit. So if you have great connections and you have a great network of people, they'll want to sponsor your podcast. So if you have someone's logo, you got your Business Bros logo here, you're promoting yourself. How much would that cost? And are you putting that and notating that in your business plan to say, if I'm marketing this, this is a little bit less than I have to pay someone else to do it. Now, also, You want to not only brand yourself out there, but you want to brand other businesses. And when you have that connection, other businesses and clients or networking people that you have made connection with will support you in a joint venture through promoting or putting their logo behind you. So there's all ways to brand through a summit or through social media marketing, and you're putting someone else's information and you're boosting them on your social channels. And you're saying, hey, this is a Linksys. I'll just use our company. We want to share them with you. It's one of our great sponsors, and it's an easy way to get on the platform or utilize the platform. They start on a small scale. It's something that's affordable. Come on in and check them out. They have a space for you. You can have rev share tickets, and we share that as well. So affiliating with people to say, hey, here's the 60-40 split. In some cases, 60 in your affiliate marketers, they're getting the 60% and saying, hey, we want to reward you for putting the word out in the email campaign. And if you sharing a $10 ticket, they're getting $6 off of it. And it's important to say, because as we talk about money and the simple, easy ways to market, if someone's selling tickets for you, that's another 5,000 people you don't have. So let's share that connection. And that's part of joint venturing. Is someone email marketing for you? Are they using swipe copy? Do you have an influencer that you're putting on are you influencing to someone else's social media? Or are you charging? Hey, if you have a podcast, you can charge for it. You can put someone's commercial in there. They're sponsoring you. So there's another reason to have a podcast, because you're making money off of it. Not only maybe from YouTube or Rumble, but you're also making money by having a commercial on there and sharing someone's information. And if you share their product, you're probably getting a split. Maybe they're coaching, or maybe they're selling a book. Maybe you're getting a profit on that end as well. There's so many ways and places that you can kind of sell your own data and your own business. Years ago, Facebook took that from us. If you didn't read those terms and conditions, they were making money off of that. Why not utilize that in the heart space with somebody that you care about and love, and saying, hey, I like you. You're a great person. I've met you. I've connected with you. And now how about you share my product, I'll share yours. We'll make money off of each other. We'll make money together. And that's very important, because you're starting to see those dollars come in. And then in for a cause marketing. It's not all about nonprofit. You have to make money. You should be making some money. And in order to give, you have to bring some money in. And so there's just little ways, selling an ebook or taking in some data, creating lead generation on someone that you can affiliate with and do affiliate marketing through emails. And that's taught in the virtual summits. And that's why the importance of sharing with somebody that understands immersive marketing in this space, not only a 360 digital platform going into virtual reality, but also the parts and pieces of connection. And how do we do that? Who do I need to connect you to so you could make money off of that and grow?
Bringing value, whether it's connecting people with people, or along the lines of what you talk about on stage or on your podcast. All these things are great value-driven opportunities for you to generate more business, whether it is leads or sales directly through your shows. All of them great opportunities. Now, Nicole, I'm gonna use this as the plug section, but also as the advice section, right? So there are people right now who are on the fence. Maybe they're a speaker, healer, looking forward to being a podcaster for whatever reason, and they want to expand their online presence, but they're looking for that advice. What's that little piece of advice to get them over the top? And of course, how can people, reach out to you once you give them that advice to get the help that they need so they cross that threshold and make that decision to move forward?
I always say, hey, keep it simple, stupid, kiss. And the reason I say that is to say, if you keep it simple and you go with what you know and understand and what is working, and then we can add into that. And so start somewhere. Get out there and take a little bit of that piece and of the public domain out there. You can, and hey, you know what? You can always reach me at, everything is Nicole Borghi, NicoleBorghi.com. And hey, I'm always out there to jump on a call with and just do like a little coffee chat. Let's see how we can work together, because you know what? Networking isn't fun. right? In the beginning, you said it.
Yeah.
And hey, I started back in Las Vegas with a few cocktails in that to kind of break the ice, because then you do realize everybody is just human. And that's what that whole soul aligned purpose is about, is just, you know what, go out to NicoleBorghi.com or email me and say, hey, I've always got tips out there, a few tricks out there, and I give, to everybody to share, hey, here's a little simple advice, easy steps. Just do it.
Love it. That's the Nike slogan, and it works for so many different things. Just do it. Is it going to be awkward at first? Yes. Are you going to like the way you look on camera? No. Are you going to like the way you sound? No. But it is you. It's who you are, and you'll become accustomed. You'll get better quickly, because we're running out of time. I'll tell you a quick story. I remember when we were doing our podcast at the very beginning, my son would listen to it because we were listening to it. And he says to me, he goes, Dad, did you know you say okay after every sentence? And I was like, no, I didn't notice that. So my brother and I were doing the interviews at the time. We gave a microphone to a glass jar, and every time, and we each got a pile of quarters. Every time I heard him say it, every time he heard me say it, you drop a coin. And you have episodes early in the first like couple hundred episodes that we did. You hear it. Literally, it's us correcting the way we speak, making ourselves better, but we're doing it. We're actively on the podcast, getting better, trying to improve with every single episode. And that's the only way you're going to improve, is you got to actually go do it. And Nicole is here to help you get past that hurdle. So go to our website, NicoleBorghi.com, NicoleBorghi.com. You can follow her on social, all kinds of variations, but the same name, Nicole Borghi, which is right here on the screen. Reach out to her, have that conversation. You never know. I can tell you this. I went into podcasting thinking one thing. I thought I was going to be the next Joe Rogan, and came out over here 1,300 episodes later with a completely different point of view, a confidence level that you wouldn't believe, in the ability to speak in public like I never thought I possibly could. And all those have become tremendous assets. So make sure you reach out to people who are already doing what it is that you want to do, just like Nicole, and get on a call. Start there and get yourself in motion. Start taking action. Nicole, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz